A man from Texas walked into a bar and decided to buy a drink for everyone there. He was in a celebratory mood and announced, "My wife just had a baby, a true Texan boy, and he weighs 20 pounds." Everyone in the bar congratulated him, and there were many impressed and surprised reactions. 2 weeks later, the same man came back to the bar. The bartender recognized him and said, "Hey, aren't you the dad of that big Texan baby who weighed 20 pounds when he was born? How's the little guy doing? What does he weigh now?" The Texan dad, looking proud as ever, replied, "He's now 15 pounds. The bartender was confused. What happened? He was 20 pounds at birth, right? The Texan dad took a sip of his beer, leaned closer to the bartender, and explained, "We had him circumcised." A famous movie star from Hollywood decided to organize a charity dinner, inviting hundreds of guests. To add a twist to the event, the host decided it would be a costume party, with the theme being emotions. Everyone was excited to dress up creatively to match an emotion. On the night of the party, the first couple arrived at the door dressed entirely in blue outfits. The doorman, a bit confused, reminded them, "This is a costume party where you're supposed to dress up as an emotion." The couple quickly explained, "We're dressed in blue because we chose to represent the emotion of sadness." The doorman thought about it and agreed that it made sense, so he let them in. Next, another couple approached the door, this time dressed head to toe in red. The doorman, sticking to his role, said, "This is a costume party. You're supposed to come as an emotion." The couple in red responded, "That's exactly what we did. We're dressed in red to symbolize anger." The doorman saw their point and allowed them to enter as well. Then, a man walked up to the door, completely naked except for a pier that had its core removed and his private part stuck into it. The doorman said, "I'm sorry, but I don't think you're supposed to be here at this dinner." The man, who had a strong Jamaican accent, assured him, "Actually, I was invited." The doorman, still puzzled, said, "But the rule is that you have to be dressed as an emotion." The man explained, "And that's exactly what I did. You see, I'm deep in despair." Two buddies, Fred and Chas, were having a good time over a few beers at a local bar, reminiscing about the past. Eventually, they both needed to use the restroom at the same time and found themselves standing side by side at the urinals. That's when Fred couldn't help but notice something quite impressive about Chas. "Wow, that's a really impressive manhood you've got there, buddy," Fred commented, a bit taken aback. Chas, not at all embarrassed, replied, "It wasn't always like this. You know, modern medical science is pretty amazing. I had a transplant done in Beverly Hills. It cost me $1,000, but as you can see, it was totally worth it." Fred was incredibly envious. He was so inspired by Chas's story that he actually flew to Beverly Hills the very next day to get the same procedure done. 6 months passed, and Fred finally ran into Chas again. He was excited to share that he had followed his advice and was very happy with the results. But he had an additional bit of news. "But Chas, there's something else I need to tell you," said Fred. "You actually got overcharged. I only paid $500 for mine, not $1,000. Chas was shocked to hear this. They had gone to the same place in Beverly Hills, even seen the same doctor. Feeling like he had been cheated, Chas asked Fred if he could take a look to compare. Once again, they ended up side by side at the urinals. Chas peeked over the partition to see Fred's new addition. Initially worried, his expression soon changed to amusement. Laughing, he said, "No wonder it was cheaper. That's my old one." A middle-aged woman had just come back home on a Saturday afternoon after a trip to the mall. She was visibly upset and began to tell her husband about a shoe salesman who had been very disrespectful to her. She explained that she was trying on different pairs of shoes, sitting down while the salesman assisted her. During this, she happened to look up and realized that she had forgotten to wear her undergarments. The salesman blurted out without thinking, "If that thing was filled with ice cream, I'd eat it all up." The woman was, of course, deeply offended by his crude comment and was eager to see how her husband would react to this insult. She expected him to be angry and stand up for her honor. However, her husband was just lounging on the couch, watching a football game on TV, and barely reacted. The wife, growing more and more upset, demanded to know why he wasn't rushing down to the store to confront the salesman and punch him in the nose for being so rude. Finally responding, the husband said calmly, "Well, there are 3 reasons why I won't go and hit that guy. First, you really shouldn't have been out buying shoes in the first place, since you already have so many at home. Second, it wasn't very wise of you to go out shopping without wearing your panties. But the main reason I won't go after him is, I don't want to mess with a guy who can eat that much ice cream." Pierre, a French fighter pilot, decided to take his girlfriend, Marie, on a lovely picnic next to the River Seine. As they were sitting there, Marie turned to Pierre and requested sweetly, "Pierre, kiss me." In response, Pierre grabbed a bottle of Merlot wine and splashed it onto Marie's lips. Marie exclaimed, "What are you doing, Pierre?" With a grin, Pierre replied, "I am Pierre, the fighter pilot. When I eat red meat, I like to have red wine." Marie, amused by his antics, smiled, and they began to kiss. As their passion intensified, Marie, feeling more daring, said, "Pierre, kiss me lower." Pierre quickly tore open her blouse, took a bottle of Chardonnay, and began pouring it over her chest. Marie asked, "Pierre, what on earth are you doing?" With the same confidence, Pierre announced, "I am Pierre the fighter pilot. When I eat white meat, I have white wine." They continued their romantic encounter, and the atmosphere became even more intense. Marie, caught up in the moment, leaned in close and whispered seductively, "Pierre, kiss me lower." Pierre removed her underwear in a swift motion, grabbed a bottle of cognac, and poured it over her lap. He then struck a match and set it alight. Marie, terrified and shocked, screamed and quickly jumped into the river to douse the flames. From the middle of the river, Marie yelled at the top of her lungs, "Pierre, what in the world are you thinking?" Pierre, standing tall and proud, declared, "I am Pierre, the fighter pilot. If I go down in flames."